Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you are watching the 214 Sports Show. This is episode 111. We are so thankful for you to be watching us talk some Dallas sports. This episode is going to be a pretty good one. Pretty good one. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, the Texas Rangers just started their opening day series, and boy, oh boy, has it been an eventful opening series, that is for sure. The Mavericks are not tanking right, and the Stars, you know what? They got back on their feet just yesterday against the Pittsburgh Paint. Well, actually Saturday. I know this episode will be released on Monday, but they did get back on their feet against Pittsburgh, looking to do that again against Philadelphia. We don't know the result of that, but we'll still talk a lot about all three of those teams. But first, before we do that, I'm TJ Krilowicz, joined alongside my co-host, Joseph Duffey, giving me a nice, good little
EJ,
wave.
I'm glad to be back. It's glad to be back that Rangers baseball is back. It's been a while since we got to see this team, and already in game two, they're making me stress. Really made us stress in opening day, honestly. It could have been a comeback victory, but glad to see it is baseball time in Texas. Can't wait for the home opener soon. But for now, they have a rare opening road series that we haven't seen for a few years, honestly.
Yeah, you know what? Now I'm just thinking about that. Because what? Where did we start out last year? Who did we play last year to start off?
Red Sox.
It was the Red Sox, and then we had the Cubs
Uh,
for the ring
uh,
ceremony or the banner. Then he had
the
the
year before.
Phillies on the
Yeah,
World
the year before.
Series.
Last
Yeah,
one was 2022, I believe. Blue Jays.
2022 Blue Jays. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Toronto.
Oh, dude, that's some ball
Yeah.
knowledge right there. I had no clue.
Opening day leadoff home run from
Brad Miller.
Brad Miller. And I was like, oh my God, this
I was
team may
there
be
for
for
you.
real.
I had that one. Yeah, Brad Miller, man. Oh man, and he had an opening day in 2023
He
as well. We
did.
posted
He
about
did.
that on our TikTok and Instagram and X if you want to follow us on those accounts. But yeah, the Texas Rangers, man, only 3 games in. We've only seen two, but 3 games in, and it feels like it has been a full season already, basically. We've already had the late scratches from this time being Jacob deGrom with neck stiffness. But it was maybe a blessing in disguise because, maybe the Phillies did not run that much of a scouting report on Jacob Latz, or maybe Jacob Latz is just that good. I don't know, Joe. What do you think about Jacob Latz?
Well, last year he certainly turned heads. I did not expect him to have that great of an impact like he did last year. And it's a shame it didn't end up paying out more in late September or a potential postseason run because he was really underrated last year as a Ranger with that 2.84 ERA. Would be clutch, in starts like he had against the Phillies on Saturday. He went 4 innings against the Phillies, one hit ball as a team that this Rangers staff would have all the way until the eighth inning until it got, of course, contentious. And that's why, I was calling out this bullpen last week before opening day. I don't know why we as Rangers fans just somehow have this, down to pat while our GM, our president of baseball operations, does not care that much about this. You have a guy like Chris Martin, who, by the way, has so much gray hair. He's not even 40 years old. He still looks like he's just barely hanging on in his career. And it's fitting that's how he pitches because man, this bullpen is just very weak in the late stages. Him and Robert Garcia. I really was impressed by Jalen Beeks in his opening day.
Mhm.
I think he can be very vital in the middle part of the pen. Carter Baumler had a really good appearance, I thought, for a guy who was making his big league debut. His parents were in the stand, family was in the stand in Philly on opening day. He found a way to strand the bases after facing pressure, so I was proud of that because he's a guy that I was shouting out last week that I'd really like to have in the late part of that pen. But they're going to
Yeah.
ease him in clearly. You don't want to put a guy at that part of the game um, that early in his career because it's just too much pressure for a guy who's 24 like him. But yeah, Jacob Latz has been really impressive, I thought, and he's keeping it up, man. I did not expect him to pitch like that against a Phillies lineup that has been pretty much the same,
Yeah.
for the last 2 years. Not a lot of difference, and of course, you have Adolis Garcia, a former Ranger, having a clutch hit on Saturday to extend, the comeback hopes. But that is not what I expected at all from Jacob Latson. Props to him and Skip Schumacher for adjusting. You just hate to see it for Jacob deGrom because he was relatively healthy last year for the first
Yeah,
time in
I
a
know.
long time.
I know. It's like so concerning to see that just from game two of this season, not even really having a ton of reps in spring training. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely something to see. They said that he'll be starting on Monday or Tuesday against Baltimore. So hopefully it's just a little bit of a setback, nothing to be worried about. But I guess we'll find out. But yeah, this bullpen, man, it is criminal that Jacob Latz could not get the win in Saturday's performance. I mean, not extremely efficient, obviously. 4 innings and 68 pitches thrown, but the main stat right there is 0 hits allowed. 0 hits allowed, 3 strikeouts. I mean, this guy, he was, in the wise words of Bruce Bochy, come on, he was,
Bussin'.
he was busting,
Bussin'.
he was
He was
busting,
bussin'.
wasn't
He was bussin', wasn't
he?
he?
That's a yeah, I mean it was a great performance by him. You talk about just what a I mean at this point does it even feel like a win? I don't know. I mean, you go in there, you're up 3 runs with 1 out remaining. 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, actually, excuse me. Robert Garcia gives up a hit, then gives up a walk, and we kind of go down the rabbit hole of bringing in different situational pitchers, which eventually did not work out. We all know Cody Martin or Caleb, yeah, Cody Martin. What am I saying? Comes in, Chris Martin, third try, third time's a charm, dude. He comes in, was able to get Adolis Garcia to pop up. Jake Berger drops his second pop fly of the day, second time to Adolis Garcia as well, leaving it open for a 3-run, 2-out rally for the Phillies. The Rangers came back, scored 2 runs in the top of the 10th behind some clutch hitting behind players like Andrew McCutchen, which we need to talk about as well.
Clutch Kutch.
Clutch Kutch, and the Rangers were able to not have a complete 2-out breakdown in the bottom of the 10th to get us the win. It was still interesting in the bottom of the 10th, but you know what? A win is a win. You still come out with a even record going into your Sunday deciding series, where I believe Mackenzie Gore's taking the mound, right?
Yep, Mackenzie Gore against Jesus Lazardo.
Mhm.
So lefty against lefty.
Well, I wish I would talk about it a little bit more, but unfortunately, again, we will not be able to talk about it because the game has not happened yet. It's about to happen, but it has not yet. So we cannot talk about it, unfortunately. But we can talk about what I just talked about. I'm sorry, a little brain twister right there by Andrew McCutchen.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised they were gonna rock with him on opening day like they did, and look, it paid off. He is keeping up that heated bat, that hot bat, I should say, from spring training. And this is a guy we didn't know would be in the roster 3 weeks ago. He just got signed. You saw him, rocking a cowboy hat, doing a little, hold down, little two-step on the Instagram. And here he is, already making an impact in the first 2 games against the Phillies. Guy still got it. He's still got it. He's great base running as well. They can use him in multiple parts of the game in the field if they so choose. But I found it interesting that they pinch hit him so quick with Jock because Jock started on
Hmm.
Saturday in the fifth spot. He actually walked and um, went 0 for 1, but good to see him on base. But Andrew McCutchen with that clutch hit against, by the way, the best relief guy that the Phillies have, and Yohan Duran. I was not expecting that later on. So
Yeah.
for the Rangers to do that, have a victory like that after really pissing down their leg in the late stages against a really solid relief guy, that was kind of, a good look to me. And I didn't expect them to really come back. It's hard to win extra inning games, when you're the road team. It's so easy to, kind of do it when you're at home because you just have to rely on getting that ghost guy in. But the fact that, Tyler Alexander could hold on, I thought that was really cool to see. And so it was a really solid win, the first win of Skip Schumacher's career, hopefully the first of many. A little concerned about Josh Young, not gonna lie.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to transition to that. I was gonna say, man, there was a tweet about it. Look, so I mean, we Andrew McCutchen is a big part, very clutch moment, obviously. This is a team that has obviously struggled a ton on the offensive side in the last 2 years after having one of the best offensive seasons in MLB history almost. And it's kind of weird, but these first two games doesn't give us really a good sign of any really improvement, especially in the bottom of the order. There's only really two players right now, three players, sorry, including Kutch, that have, had really good offensive series so far, which is Corey Seager, Jake Berger, Andrew McCutchen. Those are
I
the
mean,
three.
Jake
You
Burger.
look at the bot,
Whew.
man, offensive explosion. I mean, he's got to make up
I'm loving
for
these burger
that
balls, man.
defensive effort on Saturday. But I mean,
Yeah.
you're looking at the bottom of this order right now. Not too impressive within the first two games, obviously, it's like if this is an NBA or NHL, you got two games, 80 games left. It's like, all right, maybe
Hmm.
still, that's still crazy to overreact to. There's still 160 games left here. All right. But there are some discussion. I saw a tweet where somebody was like, is it time to admit that Josh Young and Evan Carter aren't going to be the people that we all thought they were going to be?
That was from Mike Reiner. I saw that same tweet.
Mm-hmm.
Had me thinking.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was
Even
perfect
yeah,
engagement bait right there.
yeah. Former ticket host, legend of the business. Um, it's a good question, dude. And you hate to hear that from young guys. But I just hate that even in opening day, Evan Carter can't just get a chance against left-handed pitching. Just
Mm-hmm.
can't even get a chance.
I know.
And look, was it concerning opening day how his offense performed? Sure. But Christopher Sanchez is one of the best lefties, one of the best pitchers in the game for a reason. And
Absolutely.
again, 10
Yep.
Ks, very efficient ball. I wasn't shocked how this offense performed against him, to be honest. I didn't expect to win. I didn't expect an offensive explosion. He's one of the best pitchers in the league for a reason. But I
Mm-hmm.
just wish Evan Carter, who has been playing a little bit better in spring training, just got a shot. How else can he learn, man? How else can he learn to hit against lefties? If we're gonna keep doing this, what, in now year three, year four? Is it his fourth year?
It's going to be his fourth year, yeah.
Yeah, so like we're still doing this. He's got to try at one point. You can't just bench him immediately. Obviously, his glove is super valuable, but I was really surprised that he couldn't just get an opening day start. I hope it can get better for him against lefties because I really think this could be a bounce back year for him. But Josh Young, man, bouncing into these double plays, these little choppers in the middle infield, it's really, halted um, these efforts to put more runs on the board in scoring position, especially in opening day when I thought this team could have possibly made a comeback.
Yeah.
When the Phillies almost were booing the relief guy for almost blowing a game that should have been really dead to rights. You had a Rangers team finally get on the board in the ninth inning, and then Josh Young just grounds to second, and the rally pretty much starts to die. So
Yep.
we've seen that so much from him this year, this past year, and half of the season before, in these last two seasons, missing the playoffs. But I think it's a reasonable question to ask if you're Mike Reiner, and I know that hurts Rangers fans like you and I, but they just haven't performed, and they haven't been healthy as well, which
Mhm.
sucks.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's so hard for me to give up on players. It's just when you get this personal, affection to a player where it's like they've done so good, you know, in
Yep.
the past, you just want to hold out hope. I'm always in the stage of denial when it comes to these players. I think about like Klay Thompson on the Mavericks. Like no matter how many times it's like, all right, we need to let him go. He's not good anymore. I mean, he's not as good anymore. I'm sorry, Klay Thompson. I know you're watching. I know you are. But I mean, it's just like I just can't let go. It's like this is such a cool thing to have, and I think Josh Young and Evan Carter are just one of those two players that are just, I just have this this big I'm just trying to believe in them more than I probably should because of what they've done in the past. Um, but we just need if it's Andrew McCutchen, that's going to be a huge piece. Jake Berger, hopefully can have a way better start than he did from last year. He only batted 239 last year, but if you look at his splits, I think his second half he was batting around 270, 280. And so if he can just keep that up, throughout the year. Wyatt Langford has a better year on that with the bat. Brandon Nimmo is a more productive spot than Marcus Semien was. And the
Loving
same
Nemo
goes
so
to
far. Loving him.
yeah, he's been pretty good. I think he's a great leadoff guy. Again, the Mets fans were happy that he was gone. I was like 265 for batting average last year.
Oh,
That's like
we will
top
take
three
it.
on the Rangers. Like I'm taking that. I'm taking that over Simeon. But I mean, look, I'm gonna put out a truth bomb. Okay, truth bomb before we move on to the next sport, which is look, the Rangers were number 2 in run differential in the AL last year. All right. They were, if you remember, this is a team that was really, really good on the pitching side last year. We all know that. But people don't know that they were number 2 in run differential in the entire AL, only behind the Yankees. All right. Obviously, run differential does not equate to wins, as we can see. I think the Astros were really low. I think they might have even been in the negatives. And so all they have to do is just get more consistent with the offense. And if the pitching can just be 80% of what it was last year, they have a chance of going to a 90-win season. I don't want to overhype this team, but I don't want to underhype them either because they were 500 last year. It might have felt like a terrible year last year.
It's
They
crazy,
were
isn't it?
just 500. They were 81 and 81.
It felt like a high 60s win team.
And they choked at the end of the year. They were losing all their games in the last 10 games or so this season, basically. So, I mean, this team has potential. It is really, really going to be reliant on the bats. They need just a couple people on my hand, man. That's all. Just somebody in this offensive lineup needs to come up big this season, needs to be way more productive than they were last year. If that's Josh Young, that's great. That's going to be perfect. If it's Wyatt Langford, that's what we might need. It's just going to be that. Jock Peterson is another big name that needs to step up, obviously. So, we're going to have if again, they get consistent, this team has potential. Has potential. All right.
And it's amazing because also Team ERA is not exactly like always the best tool to describe elite bullpen because this bullpen blew 30 saves last year. 30, think about that. 30 saves. This team blew a lot of games, historic amount of saves. Yeah, they blew a historic amount of saves or amount of games back when they won the World Series. But how much better they could have been if they just got half of those saves. And, you think about the offense, how they just were not good with runners in scoring position and later in games too. Those things, if they just get corrected, I agree with you. This team could really be a 90-win team. But I'm looking for Wyatt Langford to take the next step. I'm also looking forward to seeing the signings from last year and Peterson and Berger just being more consistent because I do think there's potential with this lineup. I'm not going to act like it's going to be anything like last year. I think this lineup can really wake up and possibly bring, solid offense, not 2023 offense back because that was just a special year altogether. But I think this team can finally start to knock in more runs if just one or two more guys start to get more consistent.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. I mean, this is a full lineup of people who batted under 250 last year. And obviously, batting averages have gone down a lot in recent years. Pitchers have gotten a lot better. They've also, taken away some of the juice in the balls, I guess. We'll see if I think a lot of people are saying that they might be back this season. I guess we'll find out. But a lot of people in this lineup that bat sub 250 from last year, 2 years ago
Dude,
as well,
I'm
just
not gonna
need to stay.
lie. One of those the Alec Bohm homer, I shouted it out on opening day. They have to have these balls juiced again.
I thought Schwarber's home run on opening day in that first inning was actually a little it looked like a pop fly to me. That's what
Like,
I'll
what
say.
are we doing? Dude, even Baxitt called it out. He's like, that'd be a fly out at Globe Life Field. I don't know.
Well, the Texas Rangers, they're going to move on to a 3-game series in Baltimore against the Orioles after they finish the series on Sunday. Of course, we do not know the outcome. And when we come back next week on Monday, they would have been already done with their first home series of the season against the Cincinnati Reds. So we'll keep you up with coverage on that going into next week. Moving on to the Dallas Mavericks, and man, oh man, have I never been so disappointed to see one of my teams win a game. There's been just an incredible amount of times this Mavericks team has gotten into a close situation in the few last minutes of a game, and they have found the right combination to make it look as believable as possible that they did not mean to lose the game. There's been a lot of times recently, and Portland on Friday did not have enough juice to beat the Dallas Mavericks late in the game. I mean, the Mavericks were playing a few players that obviously would not be playing in clutch time if they were competing for the playoffs. But got to give the respect to the Mavericks, Marvin Bagley especially, who almost single-handedly won the Mavericks the game on the offensive side at least. It's almost like these Wizards players, they Marvin Bagley needs to be careful. All right. I'm going to just say this real quick. Marvin Bagley needs to be careful because when Chris Middleton scored that 35 points against Memphis and won us that game, he has not played nearly as much as he was before that game. All right. His minutes drastically dropped off after he scored 35 points against Memphis. I have not seen anyone point that out.
Yeah,
But
Michael Finley's like,
he hasn't
relax,
played
relax.
the minutes that he played against Memphis. Let me just confirm real quick. I just want to make this clear for Marvin Bagley to not be playing this good because Chris Middleton played 25 minutes against Memphis on March 12th and scored 35 points. We won that game. He has not played more than 23 minutes since that. Every single game since he has played less. All right. That is not
Oh,
something that a competing team would do, but it's good enough for a tanking team to kind of lay under the watching eye,
I,
as the NBA would be probably fining you. So slightly biased. Likes to call this the most ethical tank ever, and it really has been. It really has been until this
Hey,
win against Portland.
everybody in the league has been catching, the Adam Silver allegations or the fans saying you got to put a stop to this NBA. Somehow the Mavs leave unscathed, and I
Yeah,
mean they leave unscathed because of games like that against Portland, or that you have Marvin Bagley just showing up out of nowhere, being the prospect I always dreamed of him being, back in that 2018
absolutely.
class. But yeah, you see Adam Silver in his anger. He said this every single year, and nothing ends up happening. We have to fix this tanking issue. We have to fix this with the NBA because it's not a good look. And I agree with him. Some fans are sick of it. And you see how the Nets have conducted the end of their games, like that one dude just heaving the ball from the bench when they could have had 3 more seconds to get a 3 point game winning shot. It's gone viral on Twitter. There are some things that are a bad look like that in the NBA, but the Mavs have found a way to do it, ethically, like you're saying. And there's a few games left before the playoffs start. The playoffs start in like 2.5 weeks or something, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a little
April
bit
April
left.
12th is the last game, regular
Need the
season
Mavs
game.
to finish strong. Finish strong. We're right there, Dallas. Right there. From tasting a really good, solid lottery pick. We're
Yep.
right there. And I will say, really proud of Cooper Flag this year. We even really shouted him out as consistently as the months prior. But really proud of what he has done this year. I know some people have been even saying they dare say that Colin Knipple possibly is an argument for a Rook of the Year, which I don't disagree with. He's played really well as an efficient shooter and scorer. I still think that belongs to Cooper Flag. Um, Less turnovers a game, more rebounds. He's also a great passer,
Hmm.
great defensively as the edge of that as well. But Cooper Flag has been, really more than I expected, to be honest. I knew he had number one overall pick potential. Obviously, everybody did. He's been hyped since, in high school, but he's adjusted his game really well to the NBA. I don't think he's, had a crazy amount of struggles as I thought he would for a guy who came into the league as a teenager. But, so far, I think this is a really good success, and we have to see who is going to be that lottery guy. And the Mavs find a way to combine and mesh with his play style because, I think they have the talent here. They will have the talent, I believe, to really build something after, historic trade that seemed to just chop everything down.
Well, this is actually something that I just thought about. All right. Well, it doesn't. completely match up to 2019, or 2018, sorry, 2018, because New Orleans did give up their pick to Atlanta, because the DeJounte Murray trade. DeJounte Murray has ruined two franchises now, or has helped two franchises, really. Like,
How you look
really,
at it.
really helped the Spurs make up their rebuild, and probably will help out the Hawks a lot too. But look, if you remember 2018 draft, that's one of the most legendary drafts for the Dallas Mavericks, obviously, getting two future Hall of Famers, because I think Jalen Brunson's probably going to make it as well. Um, Look, the Mavs, Pelicans, and Grizzlies were in that three-way tie, right? Or were basically in that three-way tie, and the Pelicans and Grizzlies both moved up to 1 and 2. The Mavs stayed put. And obviously that sounded really bad, but in the end, really helped. Well, okay, never mind. Sorry. That was 2019. That was 2019. I messed up. But that is what 2019 was. It's basically the same situation with the Grizzlies, Pelicans, and Mavs. They're all within a game of each other. The Mavs right now lead in that tank race. But, this is a very, very crucial time for the Mavericks. Obviously, you don't want a divisional rival to take that pick over you. I think the Jazz are going to be unreachable at this point. I think the best the Mavericks can do is get the sixth best odds. And if the NBA has been watching the Mavericks and understand that this is a tank that has really, really, they have meant every loss. All right. They have not
Nobody
been
cares.
these losses. Nobody has really cared about the Mavs getting the number one pick either. It's kind of just gone away. It's kind of just gone away. People don't really talk about the Mavericks or the NBA rigging it for the number one overall pick anymore. We'll see. Maybe that discussion comes back if the Mavericks move up again. But yeah, they're sitting at a very, very crucial part of their season. They have some tough games left. There's some automatic losses probably. It's going to be up to the Spurs to not rest their players on April 10th. But they have tough schedules. Talking the Lakers, who they never beat, obviously, the Clippers, the Suns, the Timberwolves today actually. Those games have to be losses. You got to pick up the losses against Milwaukee, obviously. But we'll see how the Mavericks do. They're going to have it's going to be a fun time watching this last part of the season. That's sarcasm, obviously. Um, Moving on to the Dallas Stars, though. And it has gotten to the point where the first place in the Central Division is definitely out of reach now. Avalanche did lose to the Winnipeg Jets at home, which I thought was pretty funny, but it's not as funny when you see that the Stars just recently lost four straight as well. But they came back, beat Pittsburgh, great offensive showing. Mikko Rantanen's back, got himself a goal, and now they either beat the Flyers or lost to them. We don't know. But they're getting on to this. They're finally getting to the second half of this road streak. Looks like they've gone back up on their feet. Again, solid performance from Mikko Rantanen in this offense against Pittsburgh. But looks like the Stars. It's an early morning for me. It looks like the Stars are gonna be playing the Minnesota Wild in the first round.
Yeah, the 2-4 account was pretty hyped that Mikko Rantanen's back. He thinks the cup hopes are back on track. So props to 2-4 account for its optimism. You see that skid that the Stars have had, and it's been a while since we've seen a skid like that. All the way back to late December, early January, where this team was losing multiple times to the Chicago Blackhawks. It's been hard to see this team, fall back. And they need moments like that, I think, a brutal, shootout OT losses, to just remind themselves what the goal is at the end of the day. So, yeah, I'd rather have it at this point of the season, of course, than later on.
Yeah.
But this team has to be reminded that they're not infallible. And gladly Mikko Rantanen is back because he is a game changer, for this roster on the ice. And so I want to ask you again, going back to this goalie situation, you've seen, I think, a little bit of better goalkeeping for the most part, but I've seen a lot of flipping between, Oettinger and DeSmith again. You look at who's been starting these games as of late. It wasn't a great performance against the Devils. But I want to ask you again, between DeSmith and Oettinger, where do you stand, between those two? Go ahead.
The Stars played the Devils. I don't remember that game at all. I don't remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Look, Jake
I don't remember.
Oettinger. I'm still a believer in Jake Oettinger. But that was terrible. And it gets to a point where you kind of can't blame the goaltender because the defense has just keeps letting these odd man situations. They're wide open in front of the net. Goalie can't do too much about it, obviously. It was a terrible, terrible defensive performance in that first half, first period. But I mean, and you look at the kind of the performance against Vegas, or basically Vegas was the big performance for Casey DeSmith, still losing that game. I mean, it makes sense, but the playoff pedigree right now, it leans Jacob. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. It leans Jake Oettinger. It doesn't lean Casey DeSmith. But if you're talking about skill-wise, you're talking about confidence right now. I'm sure Casey DeSmith is feeling pretty good right now, and Jake Ottinger's feeling a little nervous. I mean, this is against teams, you're talking about the New Jersey Devils. They have not been that good offensively this year. They have been, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to be competing for the Stanley Cup. Same even with the Golden Knights, honestly. They might not even make the playoffs either. But that doesn't matter. Jacob Oettinger didn't play in that. He did play against Utah. Utah's going to be in the playoffs. But you can't be losing those games. You can't be giving up all those goals, especially when you're going to be playing probably Colorado, no doubt probably, who is the best offensive team in the league. And you still have a chance of playing Edmonton, who has been rolling recently, definitely going to make the playoffs. And you're going to have to play somebody from the Pacific Division in the Western Conference Finals. And that is if you beat Minnesota and Colorado, who are a top 5 team in the league in points, both of them. And so, I mean, it comes down to confidence. And does Jake Oettinger have it right now? Absolutely not. And I think that there's no wake up call that you can give him. I don't know what you're supposed to do. This is a problem. Because I seriously don't trust Casey DeSmith to go an entire playoffs, a playoff run, being this consistent. I think he thrives in a backup role. I think he thrives being the guy in the shadow, the guy that people don't know too much, intel, or has as much intel on, as much scouting on, and is able to, fill in and be a great backup. I think that is his role, is a great backup, and probably the best backup in the league, honestly. Jake Oettinger just needs to. I don't know what to say about him. I really don't. I'm worried.
It's the trade-off that you have in the Jake Oettinger experience when if you remember that Calgary Flames performance that was historic, defensively for him, and the Stars organization at the time, it really made waves for how well he performed. You see him get hot, really, as the whole team does in the playoffs. It's just part of the experience that comes with, being a Dallas Stars fan, I guess, or supporter. So you got to hang on for the wild ride, because really there is nothing you can do from, our perspective, because that Devils performance, it was rough as a team. But we've seen him go on good runs. Like 2 weeks ago, he played a little bit better.
Yeah.
I don't know what to really expect from really going forward, looking at this upcoming slate, but you have a really good end, by the way, good end to the schedule, because you'll have Minnesota, more of a playoff look towards the end. Then you'll have the Sabres to end the year. I think I'm going to that game. That'll be my first ever NHL game. It'll be in Buffalo.
Really?
One of my buddies is a huge Sabres fan. His dad has season tickets. I think I may be able to go to that. So I'll see you in the flesh.
You need me to ship the Heiskanen jersey?
Maybe, man. I wouldn't mind that. I would not mind that.
you know the whole drama between the two, right? That's a historic rivalry right there. Historic one-way rivalry, honestly.
Yeah.
But
these Sabres, man. These Sabres,
they don't like us up there.
Oh no.
They don't like us.
They don't like the Stars up there. Sorry. We don't care about the crease.
Quick tip, just say Brent Hull was definitely not in the goalie crease. Just yell that in the stadium. You'll have a bunch of people there wanting to shake your hand.
Want to shake your hand. Shake your hand. They want to kill me. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's funny, though, like, when they have their head coach, Was that the secret the whole time? Just bring back the head coach that had your most successful era. I mean, with the Sabres, and it's paying dividends clearly with them right now because easily their best season in like the last 15 years, historic for right now. And
Came out of nowhere too.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm really rooting for them this year. I really am. Not over the Stars, but just for the narrative of the NHL. It's good for the league to have
Yeah.
this team that has, had their fans booing them after getting shut out in some games in the ice.
See,
I think it's good.
I always have an angel and a devil on my shoulder when it comes to teams that have always struggled historically and they're finally doing good and I see them in the playoffs. Like I want them to do good, obviously. They're usually the good guy in a playoff series because they're usually playing somebody that's been in the playoffs. I've always seen them, getting tired of them, whatever. But you got the star on your shirt right now. This is always my thinking because I've been a Cowboys fan. I'm a 2003 born Cowboys fan, which means I've not seen a lick of success. And so um, sometimes I see franchises like this. I think of the Toronto Maple Leafs as the biggest one. But I'm just gonna say that the when it comes to that, sometimes I'm like, I hope they do good, but the other part of me is like, if the Cowboys can't do good before them,
I
then I
need
don't want them to
chaos.
be
I
good.
need chaos. Absolutely.
But
It's good hater.
anyways,
It's good hater energy. I love that.
it is great hair energy. But anyways, that's gonna do it for the 214 Sports Show right here for episode 111. We'll see you guys next week. We'll talk about the Cowboys mock draft. We'll make a Cowboys mock draft, but if you want to follow us, you can follow us on X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also subscribe and like the video right here on YouTube or Spotify. But once again, we appreciate you guys joining in on this podcast. We'll see you guys for episode 112 next week.